One second. I'm seeing how dark it is and how dark I am. I need to turn some lights on. I see her too. One second. I know. I should be ready, but I'm not. I'm not ready. I'm running around in a bleached out old shirt. Running around in a bleached out old shirt. This old lady and her flab are all bleached out. Okay. I wanted to talk. I know I said that I was going to start talking about Katie Joy every single Saturday and debunking something. So I'm going to debunk just a little tiny bit. I am without my usual computer. My computer died, so I'm stuck with this thing. So here we are. Bleached out old shirt that I wish didn't have bleach on it so I could wear it out in public. But I'm hoping that I have a fabric pen. I just bought some when I was in the States. I think I'm going to try to resurrect this shirt. Is Katie Joy in love with Josh Duggar? That's my question of the day. It's a stupid one, but it's a question. She reports on him with all the ferocity of a stalker going after their former lover. I mean, it's really to that point. I have to wonder about her sometimes when she does these things because she's always talking about, I'm feeling better, small town Joe. I didn't do anything yesterday, and I'm not going to do anything today. She goes after him with the ferocity of a spurned ex-girlfriend. No, I did not. Now, see, Kitty back there. Kitty Pork is lounging. I did not see it. Somebody needs to fill me in. Yesterday, some more documents dropped. Earlier in the week, some dropped on Josh Duggar, and then yesterday late, some more dropped. So I was reading through everything. It's the first time I've actually had the opportunity to sit down. I'm not Katie. I don't sit there waiting for Duggar documents to drop. If they drop and I see them, great. If I got other stuff going on, I got other stuff going on. I'm not chasing down the crimes of one Josh Duggar. Oh, you missed it. I tried to message you on Twitter, but it wouldn't let me. Small Town Joe, I don't know why, because I've got my Twitter open now. Cheryl, one of the things that was filed yesterday was Josh's insistence that this whole case needs to be dropped, and I'm about to go into all of that. The thing with Katie is she discovered late in her time with Pathos the thing that those of us at Pathos had already learned and had to decide where our personal lines were. The thing that she learned was talking about the Duggars brings mega hits and mega bucks. That is why Katie Joy is so incredibly concerned with the Duggars. She doesn't care about the Duggars. She doesn't care about what their theology is. She doesn't care about any of that. She's only talking about them because she can make major bucks off of them. That is the only reason anybody ever talks about the Duggars. And that is why I limit myself to talking about the Duggars when there's something that you can look at and say, yes, that took place, or no, or there's legal documents, that sort of thing. Not this, oh my God, he ate waffles and fried chicken together. It means he's some kind of felon. None of that nonsense, which is what she thrives on. So that's your Katie debunking of your Saturday. But that's not even the majority thing I want to talk about. Apparently there is an actual employee from Weathers. I haven't read anything yet. Amanda. There have been various employees at that place, including some of his own brothers. Josh has employed some of his brothers through the years. So that employee that Jim Bob is alleging could have downloaded all that stuff might be a Duggar brother. Think about that one for a minute. Think about the awfulness of tossing one of your other kids under the bus because your oldest kid is in trouble. I think she's going full force right now. Once the trial is over, they settle back to normal life off TV. She won't have the cash cow. That's exactly right. She won't have the cash cow. She won't be able to milk the Duggars for any kind of new cash. So she's going for broke right now. Plus, she's going for broke before her own lawsuits break. with Todd Chrisley and with Steve McRae. There are other ones coming, I've heard. I don't know for sure. But she's going for broke for all those reasons, because she really wants to make the maximum money before she gets shut down. And I think that my opinion is that Todd Chrisley is, you can quote me on this. My opinion, allegedly, is that Todd Chrisley is not going to settle. There will be no settlement on his behalf. He's not going to settle. This is personal. She interfered in a relationship between him and his daughter that was problematic to start with. There's not going to be any settlement. He's mad. He's big mad. So, and I don't think there's going to be a settlement with Steve McRae, no matter how much she keeps saying settlement, settlement, settlement. I don't think either man is willing to settle. I think they both reached the end of the rope with her, and there's going to be consequences. I hate to say that. If only there could be settlement on some of these more awful things with her, but nope, I don't think it's going to happen. Last night, she also said she didn't care what anyone else said. She was not doing a deposition. Well, that may not be up to her, okay? Once you're ordered to sit a deposition in a case, if you don't, you go to jail. You go straight to jail for defying the court's rulings. So if the court says you do it, you do it. Now, do you have to cooperate? Not really. Say, I invoke my Fifth Amendment rights not to self-incriminate. You can say things like that. It doesn't mean that they're going to be able to pull any kind of meaningful anything out of you. It just means they can drag you before the courts and ask you a bunch of questions. What your answers are really depends upon you. And I'm expecting her to invoke the Fifth on almost every question if they get her to deposition, if she's smart enough. That's the other thing. I don't know if she's smart enough to realize that one can invoke the Fifth, particularly if one has done things like it sounds like she has done that would be problematic in a court of law. She visits jail unless she takes the Fifth. Yep, that's exactly right. Can she refuse to answer any questions for the deposition? She can't refuse, but she's not required to answer with anything more than the Fifth, taking the Fifth. And I think Todd does like the drama. I think he really likes that. He's a pretty reasonable guy when I talk to him. He seems like what you see on TV is him. I mean, I gotta respect that, because a lot of people are very different, extremely different from one media to the next. I said about me and my little ADD self, I'm the same whether you catch me here, whether you catch me on the phone, whether you catch me out in public, unless I'm having a day like I was having yesterday where I'm just melting down because of things. Now, today, I'm kind of like, whatever. So they installed it in a way that pisses me off. All I have to do is go down to the computer store here, say, hey, I need your guys to come out to reroute some cable again. Now, it will cost me, and I will try to hit Publicity with the bill, but I'm sure they won't pay it. I'm just going to do it and say the hell with it. I don't know if she's capable of pleading the Fifth. I'm not sure. I'm not sure if I'm not sure if she's capable either. I think she's one of these people who's really easy to provoke her. And I think that Todd Chrisley being there and some of the things he's probably going to write on his pad and show to his attorney will probably provoke her into making all kinds of crazy admissions. I just don't know. I don't know what that's going to look like. I do know if she was smart, she'd invoke the Fifth every single question. I wouldn't give him any information. I would plead to my name, and that's about it. And everything else, I declined. I respectfully declined to answer that question. I invoked the Fifth Amendment, my Fifth Amendment rights against self-incrimination. So there's that. You're giving them no additional information. Katie Joy, that's what you need to do. You need to do that now. You need to stop talking. Go back to talking about the Duggars or whatever, making your hay with the sunshine before Todd asks for your channel when he wins this lawsuit, which is what I suspect he is going to do. I'm sure that she found Todd Chrisley's statement that he was going to the deposition, she would be sitting there for the deposition. I would think she would find that frightening. Anybody would. Anybody would. Sure, small town Jewel. I'll do that. How about that? I will type in my email address. And for a long time, I didn't look at this email address. This was strictly for NLQ, but I've had so much media contact that this is actually the best way to contact me that's not a direct message on Twitter or Facebook. She seems driven to talk like a mental condition pusher. Cheryl, I agree. I think so. She runs her mouth so much. She's her own worst enemy. I agree with that, Amanda Starr. Same. I would love to be a fly on the wall when that deposition is going. Here's the good news about the deposition. There are hundreds of thousands of depositions on YouTube. You're not forbidden from posting depositions. People post depositions all the time. I've looked at a few after somebody pointed out to me that some of them are downright comical. I've especially looked at some of the medical mistake ones because those are very eye-opening, how far people will try to squirm away and say, I don't recall, I don't recall. Katie, that's your second most useful phrase that you're going to find for your deposition. I do not recall. I do not remember. Or number 3, to the best of my knowledge, as I can recall. I don't know quite why she's doing it that way. She's obsessed, Kathy. I just put in love with to, I know they're not done in the courtroom. They're done in a separate room with cameras and mic. I know I've sat for a few of them. My father did sit for one too. She does talk so much. And here says the other, I will, small town Jewel. Here's the other thing about depositions. They don't always take place in even a courtroom type setting at all. They don't even always take place in like a legal building. You can do them at your lawyer's office. You can go to your lawyer's office even overseas and sit for a deposition via Zoom. I've seen that happen in today's age of the beer bug, as we're calling it. Okay, I am gonna have to move on to my least favorite person of the Duggar family, and that's saying something because I'm not a fan of either of Jim Bob or Michelle, and that would be Josh Duggar. Papers dropped this week, legal paperwork in his case, and it's been crazy stuff. Here's the craziest to me of all the paperwork I read through. He filed a motion to dismiss. It was filed yesterday. It's the craziest reason of all time in some ways. I just laughed when I read it. It's like, are you really grasping for that level of straws? What was the reason? Donald Trump once broke the law. That's their entire legal argument. Let me explain what I mean. There were 3 different agencies investigating Josh, okay? At least 2 of the agencies, as far as I can determine, there were people that were put in as temporary heads of those agencies by Donald Trump when he wasn't supposed to. Apparently was going about all wrong and it was illegal. It's been ruled down by the courts as the legality of putting those 2 people in place didn't exist. He broke the law when he put those 2 people. So Josh, in his desperate grasp for straws with this clever little high-priced legal mouth, they are saying that because Trump illegally appointed these guys to be temporary heads of these agencies, that all of the investigations that took place under them, all of the rulings, all of the arrest warrants and all are all illegal. So because they're illegal, they can throw them all out. At least that's what they're alleging. I don't see how a temporary head, temporary, not an acting, not even a permanent head of an agency. It's not the agency. It's not the temporary head that's doing the investigation. It is those people under them. Now, this goes along with Anna Duggar has been trying to say that Joe Biden was behind this, which is stupid because Joe Biden, oh, my teeth feel so weird. Must feel like coffee. Anyway, Jill has been trying to say that this was a personal vendetta by Joe Biden, even though this took place under the Trump presidency. At least Josh's lawyers are blaming the right president for this. Biden conspiracy, now it's Trump. Yeah. And it does make me laugh. It makes me laugh. So that's their entire argument, which is a ridiculous argument. I had to laugh. I looked at the Hollywood gossip this morning after I'd read through the legal documents to see what they were saying, because they're like Katie Joy. They're a tabloid. They can have sunshines, while people actually care about the Duggars and they can get hundreds of hits, hundreds of thousands of hits. Yes, they are not important enough. I agree. Not important enough to be harassed by the. So anyway, I had to laugh at the Hollywood gossip because they're putting their own spin on it. They're putting such a spin on this that I wonder if Jim Bob Duggar's publicity agent has gotten to them. They are alleging that the government is not ready in any way, shape, or form to try this case. They're not ready. They're saying that the federal government is not ready. This is the same branch of the federal government that has a 97% conviction rate when they take people to court. They have all their I's dotted and their T's crossed. But according to the Hollywood gossip, the government asked for the trial to be pushed back to November. That is not true. Josh Duggar's lawyers initially asked for the trial to be pushed back from July until February of 2022. The judge ruled no, that they could not push it back that far, but they did have to have enough time to go through the evidence. So they pushed the trial back to November 2021. So they're totally wrong about that. They're saying that the government was the one that requested the pushback. No, it was Josh's attorneys. This is why you have to be really careful about what kind of media you're following for this. Because if you just read that article, you would assume that to be true. But we've been seeing all the legal paperwork on this crap. I'm sure they're fully ready. I'm sure they have everything. She may have something about Josh, for all we know. So they're saying the judge is not open to pushing it back any further, and that's making the government shake in their boots. Again, no such thing. The judge has ruled on it. His attorneys are the ones that asked for the pushback to February 2022. The government said no, November 21. And there is no changing that. So they're lying about who even requested the change, the pushback. Also, the government alleges that Josh's attorneys are filing all this crap because they're fishing for evidence. They're trying to find any way to impugn the federal government and to bolster their assertions that Josh didn't do this horrible thing. This is likely non-existent evidence. The judge already ordered a turnover of evidence if they had any additional evidence, and I don't think there's going to be any additional evidence turned over because there is none. 3 different government agencies were all investigating Josh at the exact same time. I'm tired of the Duggars getting away with these crimes too. I know that's what's scary, small town Jill. They probably were paid big bucks for this. So anyway, there were 3 different agencies at the same time who were investigating him that apparently did not know that the other agencies were investigating him. The way it works with these things is if there are multiple jurisdictions and multiple agencies investigating, it's usually the most highly ranking of the agencies that has the most broad powers will take over. In this case, that was Homeland Security. So they took over the entire investigation. It's not unusual to have multiple evidence at multiple agencies, but that gets all turned in to the prosecuting agency, which at this point is Homeland Security, which kind of puzzled me when they were talking about it being a Homeland Security case. That's what we were all speculating. Was it because he was doing chop shop type things? Was he exporting cars or doing something weird with the titles? There were other things that it could have been, because Homeland Security has a large swath of things that they investigate, including international kind of things. So the evidence that they have is going to be the same as the evidence that whatever agency that they're alleging has evidence has. It's all been turned over. So there is no additional evidence. I don't think there's going to be. They may release some information about who collected what, but exactly adding evidence, I think that's a fishing expedition, an attempt to muddy the waters, to tilt public sympathy towards Josh, so that if it goes to a jury trial, maybe they'll have a couple of people that will rule in his favor. He is trying for first offender status. He wants to be a first offender. First-time offender. The thing is, what he's charged with and what he did, there are no first offender statuses given for that. It's such a heinous crime that it's probably not going to be. Yeah, exactly, small town Jewel. That's why. But when they started raiding his business, we had no idea it was because of the Daisy's destruction. We didn't know about the $10,000 payment. We didn't know any of that. We didn't know any of that at all. That's why Homeland Security got involved. Cheryl, it boggles my mind that was what was going on too. The movie, yep, that film is why. Jim Bob is creepy and looks like a C-word leader. Yes, I agree. Put him in a jail and throw away the key. There's such desperation on his side. They're really grasping at crazy straws, trying to say he didn't do this, to get Josh off. That's all this is about first offender status. I mean, we've all seen the things he's been involved with, the things that could have gone criminal that they didn't do. So I think this is just desperation. Jim Bob is blaming an employee for this. He is saying that somebody else did this. There are other employees that have been working there. Some of the brothers have been there before. So that's pretty awful. But he's not going to be able to get away with that, because I was reading they have provable electronic paper trail to Josh himself, not to his brothers, not to some mystery employee, but to Josh. And he used consistent passwords. Pro tip, don't ever use the same password for your bank account that you use for your illegal porn. Just don't do it. It would have been a harder case to prove had he not done that. But since he did something just so incredibly stupid, they caught him. I understand there's a lot of data from cloud sharing and text messaging that they were able to trace to him and show that he was the one using the computer during the downloads. It's not going to go well for him. I think that at this point, his legal team is just grasping at straws. They're trying to come up with anything. It's like when you throw everything at the wall on the hopes that one little thing sticks. That's what they're doing now. It's deflect, distraction, muddy the waters, try to make everybody believe that it's something different than it actually is. That's what we're seeing going on now with Josh, and it's going to continue. They're huge Trump supporters. Yes, they are, Tia. I saw their signs and their flags they had in the front yard. They had a ton of Trump stuff. In fact, I laughed and posted one of the pictures in NLQ because it was all the Trump flags that one could imagine, including the one where Trump is all jacked up and he's dressed like Rambo. I laughed because it was like they have fallen in the most typical evangelical lie spear of all times that Trump is this and that and the other thing. It's really funny too because Fox News has pretty much thrown the Duggars under the bus in some of their coverage I've seen, which I was really surprised at because they were really first initially quite supportive of Josh every time something happened. I think did they use Josh and Hannah's funds, or if Josh had a way to? I think the thing with the Josh Duggar and the money, I don't know this for certain, so this is pure speculation. And unlike some people, I'm going to tell you when I'm speculating on something and why I'm speculating about it. I think it's very likely that Anna Duggar does not know how much money they have in any way, shape, or form. Why do I say that? Because Quiverfull does not believe that women should be to build in the bills or knowing how much money. That's strictly a man thing. That is why when Lori Alexander wrote her book, The Power of the Transformed Wife, her section on family finances said exactly two things. Number one, buy used and save the difference, which is exactly what the Duggars preach. Number two, don't use credit cards. And I wrote this, like a 4,000 word takedown of that, how wrong that was, and show to you how to run your family finances and how to use credit responsibly. One of the things that I pointed out is credit cards can be used to save you money. We routinely do that here. We have certain credit cards for certain things that we get cash back on. We just applied to get a PriceSmart credit card here because they're going to give us 4% back on all our PriceSmart purchases. And if you don't know, PriceSmart is Costa Rica's Costco, and they have all kinds of products. So we shop there a lot. 4% back would help, but I've always done that sort of thing. If you're not willing to give me something as an incentive to buy somewhere, I'm not willing to shop there most of the time. Very funny about that. I've saved a lot of money that way during the years, but she doesn't do all that. Jim Bob is not a dummy. If he's pointing out there that it could have been another brother downloading, all he's doing is casting reasonable doubt, and then double jeopardy would apply to Josh, in my humble opinion. Yeah, except that, like I said, these things were downloaded with a known password that Josh uses for his banking account and all kinds of other stuff. So there's no diversity of password usage, so it could be him. Based upon text message data and cloud data, they're able to say definitively it was Josh that was doing this. It was not a brother. It was not an employee. They're saying that it is Josh. And knowing a little bit about the internet, I don't doubt they're right. I don't doubt at all that this is the right thing. Jim Bob isn't a dummy, but he definitely is somebody to be concerned about. Please understand, I am not pro-Duggar, nor do I think anyone else downloaded except number one son, and believe it needs to go to the finish line in the court systems. Yes, Franny, I think we all believe that. This is one of those things where, and this is one of the things I hold against her, a court of public opinion is not where you try this crap. And the endless speculation that she does, it really harms everybody and sets the case up for all kinds of things. I like to read through the court documents and then take a decision and take a look at what everybody else is saying and then come up. I don't think there's anything harmful about that. You know, the one that I'm really concerned about right now is his wife and those kids. Because if he goes away for a short time, long time, I don't think it's going to matter. It's going to be devastating for them. And as much as I would like to see him get punished for his crime, I don't want to see the family get punished. And I don't think she should stay with him. I think there should be a divorce in the offering. Even in my old extreme fundy church, when somebody was convicted of something similar, guess what? The pastor would always say, hey, maybe you ought to think about divorcing this person because they've done X, Y, and Z that really violate the entire marriage thing. They can violate all the vows, all of that. But I don't see that happening easily. Do you think Josh being in trouble that Jim Bob is running Anna and the kids' finances? I'm sure of it. I'm sure of it because we know that this is a C word where the men run the money and the women do not. The women have to come like they're Oliver going up to the guy with the gruel going, please, sir, may I have some more? You know that that's how they run their stuff. When you have patriarchy, you have these kind of toxic, horrible situations going on. If I was his wife, I would have left years ago. Jane, exactly. Counselors will be needed for those kids. Jane, I agree. I think they're going to need years of counseling no matter what happens, whether he's found guilty, innocent, or whatever. If he goes away for a long time, a short time, or doesn't go away, those kids are going to need therapists. They're going to need therapists, and they need to be represented in the courts by their own attorneys, their own counselors, and guardian ad litems. They need somebody who is not directly in the Duggar family representing the best interests of those children. Now, whether that will happen or not, I have no clue, but that's what I would like to see happen. Isn't the buy used and save the difference? No credit cards and all this stuff comes directly from Jim Sammons. The Duggars and other IBLP families promote his books. Yes, that's exactly where it comes from. And the thing is, buying used and saving the difference does you no good if there's no money to start with. That's what's so funny about them saying that. Oh, Franny, you're asking about KJ in the fifth. I believe if she does take the fifth of the deposition, people are going to look at her as being guilty. Otherwise, why wouldn't she answer the question and clear her name up? And you know Todd Chrisley will bring that up. I could see her invoking her Fifth Amendment right, but I could also see her getting a little cocky on a particular question. They may ask her and start with diarrhea of the mouth, just my opinion. I'm afraid you're right on that. I don't think she has ability to not be provoked and not get cocky sometimes and not run her mouth. I mean, we've seen what she does and what she says. That deposition is going to be, just between you and I, it is going to be a pile of red hot feces, full of feculinity. Oh, I laugh thinking about it because it's going to be horrible to watch, but it's also going to be really funny. I shouldn't even say that. I shouldn't even admit to it, but it's going to be funny. It's going to be bad. I don't even want to think about it right now because, but anyway, and Todd has said he's going to put it up. He's going to put it up online for everybody to see. So that's his right to do so if he's doing depositions. He can do that. She can't stop him. I feel horrible for his children. They are the innocent victims of this whole dumpster fire. Exactly, Amanda. They are the ones that are going to get hit hard and pay the ultimate price. They are the ones that I'm the most concerned about. I'm not even that concerned about Anna as I am those kids because Anna is drinking the cult Kool-Aid. I said the C word. Oh, my goodness. So she's drinking the Kool-Aid and she's doubling down on it. And supposedly Jim Bob Duggar and the Duggars are not having much to do with her from everything I'm reading, but that might just be a tabloid fantasy because we know how unnamed Duggar insiders work. And since I'm no longer writing about the Duggars on a regular basis, I'm no longer getting unnamed Duggar insiders constantly contacting me with information, which I'm just as happy about. because a lot of times they pop up, I look at their info and go, oh, not this SHIT again. Because it would be ridiculous stuff that they would say. Yes, Tia, I would love to be a fly on the wall when they do all the depositions. It would just be a hoot. And I think that there's going to be some overlap between Todd Chrisley and Steve McRae. They are in communication with each other over this thing. And I don't think that means anything good for her. So that's it. As bad as it sounds, I wish the kids would be removed from the whole group. Small town Jewel, I would too, except that I want those kids to have some continuity of care, which means family members. They've been with David and Patricia, or is it Patricia? I can't remember. I'm having brain farts. David Fabulous Waller, the Fabulous Wallers, him and his wife, Patricia, I think it is. And as much as I don't really care for those pecan thieves who are babbling out the most ridiculous stuff, Patricia is one of Anna's sisters, and Anna's family, heaven help us all, seems to be at least slightly less toxic than the Duggars, and way less toxic than the Rodriguezes. Let's just throw that out there. So there's hope. They have the children a majority of the time, which my understanding is they do have those kids a lot of the time now, that family does. It should be a little easier on them. I don't think that the Fabulous David has been accused of anything remotely like that. I agree, Sandra. Anna could turn this around by leaving with kids, negotiate with reputable media source for a few million by giving Michelle's dirty secrets away. Not likely, but time will tell. I think the first Duggar who writes the tell-all book is going to be the one that makes away with millions. Anybody else coming after them to do the same thing is not going to make. It's going to be the law of diminishing returns for all of them. So whoever comes out first is going to make out like a bandit. I was thinking it might be son-in-law Derek. But Derek, he was running his mouth about writing a tell-all book, written it and edited or had ghostwrite it for his ass. But he has chosen not to. He's just running his mouth. Reading all the comments. David's parents let their son die rather than cut short a missionary trip and take him home. Yeah, there is that. I didn't say they weren't sucky. They have their own problems, but they're not quite as hopefully it will. Hopefully when Todd Chrisley posts those depositions, the diehard subs will be forced to look at that and say no. But here's the thing about cognitive dissonance, and I know about this because of our cult that we're part of, the C word again, the C word, okay. They can show you evidence, direct evidence, and you can just say, oh no, I mean, look at what's going on now. Say, no, that's not true, that's not true, that's not biblical, it doesn't line up with the Bible. We can look at that right now with some people's responses to the beer bug and to the pandemic and to everything going on, to the mask mandates, to all of that. I keep seeing utter crap about this. I'm just like rolling my eyes like, how can you, in good conscience, deny all science? And that's not to say that all the science that has come out so far is accurate, because it isn't. If you look at the way science is put together, how studies are done, some studies are more accurate than others, some are flawed. I like to watch, I'm going to refer, but I'm going to put a link to his channel in my comments. Midlife Crisis. He's a doctor in Great Britain. He likes to examine how some of these surveys are put together, how they come up with numbers on these things. Seriously, that's one of the things I like about the National Institutes of Health and the CDC. You can go into their website, and you can look at actual research studies on so many different things, including a masking survey, and studied it all the way back from 1918 when they had the great flu pandemic then. And you can see what works, what didn't work, and make your own opinions. But you can't rely on the media for any of this. A lot of times the media has their own agenda. I mean, I'm laughing right now, crying and laughing. Let me rephrase that. Watching the coverage out of Afghanistan of Kabul in the airport. Kabul, I guess they call it now. Kabul in the airport, and the people trying to get on the planes, the Americans, the people from other countries, the Afghanis that had worked with the Americans. It is just heartbreaking, but I'm laughing over it because I occasionally will watch Fox News, and I was laughing because the other day they had this rather fluffy gentleman who was middle-aged, good size, like a lot of us are. We get to our middle and old age, which I'm not throwing shade about that. We all get there eventually, I think. And he had such enormous white privilege, it was ridiculous. He was sitting there saying that they just need to drop him off at Kabul, and he would kick those Taliban's rear ends so that everybody could get to the airport. And I am looking at this guy, rolling my eyes, going, yeah, you're part of Snack Force. You'd get gunned down the first 5 minutes you were in there trying to confront. So I've kind of laughed over that, but I am glad they're on board with bringing people out. That's the important thing. Bring the people out. I want to see our government continue to do that, because they're breaking my heart, all the pictures that are coming out. And I can understand being that annoyed. I mean, that afraid of what's going on. And I was glad to see that Pakistan open their land borders finally with Afghanistan, and they're going to be letting people through on foot. And that, to me, is the only responsible thing. I live here in Costa Rica. Costa Rica is a world away from Pakistan, and I had to laugh because, Afghanistan and Pakistan, because the Costa Rican government, they're all upset about this, and they said that they'll take women and children here, Afghanis. They'll take them here, give them refugee status, and protect them. And I was glad to hear that, even though I know it's kind of like a small step. At least it's a step. My dad used to say, people hate being confused by truth. I think Derek is getting all his ducks in a row and making sure Jill is stable, mentally healthy enough to handle his writing a book before he published. That's possible. That's always possible. Oh, yeah. I like that saying, Cheryl. I had one the other day that I know they don't make Star Lily. Religion and science, though. That's kind of scary. Yeah. I heard yesterday Jill, Jessa, Joy, and Ginger have all been approached for another TV show by many outlets. Derek is smart. Jill will consider, in my humble opinion. Okay. Uzbekistan took Afghanistan aircraft loan out by military. That really sucks. They shouldn't do that. And I saw pictures of the Taliban using some of the not Humvees. Yeah, it was Humvees. I got to think about it. It's been so long since my husband was in the military, and I used to know all the acronyms, know all this crap, but not anymore. It's like all stuck in there. I saw pictures of the Taliban using Humvees and tanks that the U.S. left behind already. I've already seized much of the gear that we've poured into this place. That's really disheartening to see that. And I would like to see other countries jumping in and doing that. Now, like I said, Costa Rica just took the easiest process. Sure, we'll accept refugees, but at least it's something. I remember in my Methodist church, when the Syrian thing was going on hard, really bad. At one point, we started talking about taking in Syrian refugees, and they put together a list of people who wanted to help and host them, and I actually signed us up for that, but nothing came of it. If it happens here, I wouldn't be adverse to doing that myself. I wouldn't be, because these people, my heart breaks for them. They're leaving their homeland, everything. And I look at these people who are so desperate to leave, that are suffering so greatly. And then I look at that stoned, I want to say TWAT waffle of Josh Duggar with his stone looking smirky, his stone smirky crime photo. And it's like, there are just some people on this planet that are just useless. I would like to see churches worldwide take these people in. Put your money where your mouth is and do something for change. Do something. Was glad to see that a lot of them have now landed at Ramstein Air Base. That's got to be the first step to them getting to the U.S. for some of them. Cheryl, I think that is a good place to put your money, to support fleeing devastation. Horrible devastation. And that's one of the things that I really dislike about the Duggars. They will not take real action. The church about love all the time. Love, 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 love your neighbor, love your enemies, bless your enemies, blah, blah, blah. But they won't put it in action. They won't do anything to resolve the real problems of this world. They just want to sit in their church and look down their nose at everybody else that's not doing things their way, and then give very little to these different ministries and these different charities are supporting these people. I just hope that if any of the children negotiate with a different network, that they get their own contract and not go under Jim Bob's umbrella. I'm sure that they will, unless he's got them signed to some kind of lifetime perpetuity agreement, which I can't see that holding up in court, because they're all of legal age, they're all emancipated, they're all married. So I'm hoping that that would be something. It's horrific. Innocent always suffer the worst if they survive. I agree. I think churches would be more likely to take refugees if they are willing to convert. Yeah, that's true, but I think they need to take them without that expectation, without pushing them to convert. That is the suckiest reason to take somebody in. Small Town Jewel, I saw that newborn yesterday that they took in because it was overheated or dehydrated. I saw that. That's just heartbreaking. It is heartbreaking because I know that the temps there have got to be extreme right now. You've got also all that concrete at the airport. It's unrelieved heat being reflected back up, which drives the heat index even higher. They've got to do something. This is just one of those humanitarian crises that just breaks your heart. So growing up right after World War II, our neighborhood was filled with Jews and Roma that were refugees of death camps. The Catholic churches and Lutheran churches banded together to get them to the U.S. Cheryl, I remember reading about that. I was born in 1960, so I was actually born too late for that. But I know that they did that, and that's something that's really worthy. I would like to see the Catholic Church sell all their gold and stuff and do that sort of thing, use the money for good. I know churches can and have taken in refugees in the 1950s. I know that, and they should again. They really should. If the Bible says that we're our brother's keeper, then we're also our brother's keeper all the way across the world to somewhere else that we don't understand. And we should not be trying to make them change to our culture when we do rescue them. I'm all for that. And I'm all out of air, as you can hear. So my brain right now, and I've said all I'm going to say this week about Katie and Jim Bob and Josh Duggar. She's not in love with Josh Duggar, but she is so obsessed with the Duggars, but the root is money. She only does this for money, 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 money. Money, 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 like that song in Cabaret. That's what it is. Okay, you guys, be well, be blessed. Have a great weekend. tomorrow I'll probably be back if I have air to explain some aspect of Quiverfull that somebody's asked me about. Bye.